Could sportscaster Stephen A. Smith actually be the Democrat nominee for president in 2028? I'll tell you up front, the answer is no. There you go. You don't have to watch any more of the video, but you should, because I'll explain why he would actually have a better chance if he were to switch parties and become a Republican than he would as a Democrat, and because he's missing one very key component. To be a Democrat nominee, you have to have one thing, and he doesn't have it. But let's get into this article first by Tim Donner over at libertynation.com. Stephen A. Smith for president? Really? Are Democrats that desperate? Well, yes. The answer to that question is yes. They're very, very desperate. This is why at this very early stage, and it is way too early to be talking about this. We still have a midterm to go through. We still have, 3 years before it really starts cooking? So there's plenty of time. But I would say if I had to pick somebody at this stage, and I know this is going to be unpopular to hear, but that somebody at this stage who I'd say has probably got the inside track to get it, it's not Gavin Newsom. It's not Gretchen Whitmer. No, it's, and don't laugh, but it really is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And I'll explain why. It's the same. The reason that she could be the nominee is the exact same reason why Stephen A. Smith could not be the nominee. But let's get in this article first. In a sign of the times for the Democrat Party, a celebrity sports personality is garnering attention as a possible candidate for leader of the free world in 2028. Seriously, as Democrats suffer the lowest approval in decades, the flamboyantly outspoken Stephen A. Smith of ESPN is attracting widespread coverage as an outside-the-box alternative for a party desperate to regain its footing. What does serious talk about a sports celebrity as a presidential candidate say about the state of the Democrat Party? Well, let's answer that question. It just says that they're desperate. He's outspoken. He's well-spoken. He's not like great, but he's good. He's good, and given enough time, take the sportscaster out of him a little bit and put more of the politician into him, and he could be quickly trained. Okay, he could be coached to become more politically oriented very quickly. Matter of weeks, seriously. But anyway, so is there not a single elected Democrat thought to be attractive enough to take on Vice President JD Vance or another Republican in 3 years? Yeah, there are a few. I mean, people are talking about Whitmer. They're talking about Newsom. They're talking about some of those guys. They're talking about Josh Shapiro. Okay, talking about Pritzker even, just because he's rich, but still. They're talking about a lot of them, and they're all viable. I still think it's AOC, but whatever. Are Democrat policies so unappealing that they need to nominate a personality with zero experience in policy or politics as a blank canvas upon which they can attempt to paint a pretty picture? So, in all fairness to Donner, he is looking at this as a political analyst. But to understand why Stephen A. Smith could not be the Democrat nominee, why he would actually have a better chance being the Republican nominee, you have to understand what it takes to be the Democrat nominee. Now, there are certain characteristics that you need regardless of party. Okay, you have to be a narcissist. Anybody who thinks that they are capable of being the leader of the free world has to have a very high degree of narcissism, period. And those who have not have always failed. Okay, you look at the ones, there's been a few that have not been narcissists who have tried to become nominees, and they always fail. Okay. Number two, you have to have a certain presence about you. And this is what, you can point to all the various reasons that Kamala Harris failed so miserably. But the one that stands out is that she had no real presence. She had no real anything. Nothing about her was real, and everybody could tell that. So, I would argue that obviously there were Democrat policies, state of the economy, illegal immigration, all these other things that point to wouldn't matter who they ran, they were going to lose. But I would say that 90% of the people that actually did vote for Kamala Harris, the actual real people, I'm not talking about fake people, I'm talking about real people who voted for Kamala Harris, 80 to 90% of them weren't voting for her, they were just voting against Trump. Okay? And it's like, it was far worse than even with Joe Biden or Hillary Clinton. She was horrible. Hillary Clinton was horrible too. Joe Biden wasn't even there, but whatever. We're looking forward, not back. So you have to have a certain presence. You have to have the ability to not mess up. Okay. And I would say that a lot of these people, including including Stephen A. Smith, would have that capability. But there's one thing that differentiates the Democrats from the Republicans. The Democrats, every single one of their nominees, since John F. Kennedy was the last, I would say, true Democrat nominee. Since him, every nominee after that had one very important characteristic. They could be controlled by the globalist elite cabal. And I would argue that many of the Republican candidates that have had the same characteristic. I would say that both George W. Bush and George H.W. Bush had that characteristic. Mitt Romney, John McCain. Okay, they were hedging their bet. It wouldn't have mattered really who won in 2000. Okay, George W. Bush, he was a globalist. Okay, he is a globalist. Al Gore, globalist. Wouldn't have mattered who won in 2004. John Kerry, globalist. George W. Bush, globalist. And even though we can say that it wouldn't have mattered in 2008 or 2012 because the Republicans running at that point were also globalists, they had a plan with Barack Obama, and they initiated that plan through him to advance cultural Marxism as quickly as possible. But again, this is why I'm saying this. I'm referring to Tim Donner's article, but in reality, the only thing that he's missing, and the reason that Stephen A. Smith could not be the candidate, is because he doesn't have the quality of being very easily controllable by the globalists. He would have a better chance, seriously, of, he claims he's an independent. At least he has been claiming he's been an independent since he started his talking about politics way back in 2007. Okay, and he acts like an independent, but he's always voted for Democrats. He even voted for Kamala Harris. Okay, but it's possible people do make a change, and I hope he doesn't. Okay, I like JD Vance. I like a few of the possibilities for 2028 for the Republicans. But I would just say, look, if he really is serious, he needs to start saying, you know what, kind of walking away from the Democrat Party, walking away, not liking this, liking more along the lines of family values, lower taxes, lower regulations, less government intrusion. I'm, sort of take the libertarian, the leftist to liberal to libertarian to Republican route that a lot of people take. It's happened quite often, actually, in recent years. I would say that would be his better chance. AOC or Gretchen Whitmer or Gavin Newsom or Josh Shapiro, all of them have the quality of when the globalists call, they will, yes, sir, absolutely, you betcha. I'm on, what do you need me to say? Just get the message to my handlers. They'll tell me what to say and I'll say it. I'll do it, whatever, sign whatever. That's their quality, and I don't think Stephen A. Smith has that. I know pretty much every show host has a coffee brand that they promote. I promote somebody else's. I promote Promise Grounds. This is a Christian coffee company. They spread the gospel and hope and actually give to those in need in the name of Jesus Christ, and I greatly appreciate what they do. But perhaps more importantly, at least from a consumer perspective, not in the whole scheme of life and death, but at least as far as what you're drinking, the coffee is legitimately fantastic. I'm looking at you in the camera, staring right at you, and I'm telling you this with all honesty, that they are the best coffee. They offer the best coffee that I've ever had, period. Check them out. See if I'm right. See if I'm wrong. Go to jdrucker.com/coffee, jdrucker.com/coffee, and you will find that I am not wrong.